possible to win as well.
Still though, a second, and it's enough. Audio with a Red Bull clutch.
Oh my god. Joking.
When I come through, I'm the only one they'll talk to. Gonna heat it up, I'm about to prove.
Last line of defense for the A side on the post plan. VALORANT on the flank. Razzle comes in for the trip kill.
But that's too
One enemy remains.
I'm the star of this show. Now you know.
Tara needs to go for a save. There's that first one tap.
Remaining.
Oh, what a swipe there!
But that's too damn bad.
Lacey goes down. You're in the footsteps now. The first, the second, and the third.
Get used to it.
You're just making it look so easy, just like apple pie.
It's gonna have to be an ace to pull it off with 3 bullets left. Oh.
Hello friends and welcome to VALORANT Game Changers NA Series 3 presented by Verizon. Game Changers is back and I cannot wait. We're so excited because we have our VALORANT Game Changers Championships feels like just around the corner and we're getting so close to finding out which two teams will be representing NA in Brazil. My name is Sierra Dawn. I'll be your host for today, and joining me on the desk to start off this action, I have Vansily and I have Riv. Riv, you got the pog face. You look pumped.
I am so ready. Every time we get back to Game Changers casting, we get some of the hypest matches. We're going to be casting FlyQuest as well today. So looking back at who they used to be, Vans, when we cast Moist, we had some of the most amazing today is only set up to be amazing, and every Game Changers shows us some amazing plays because there's so much heart going into each play. Every player wants to get as far as they can in this tournament, and it shows, and that's why I love every time Game Changers comes up.
You mentioned Moist Moguls, and already I'm thinking about that Emily clutch in overtime that we had to cast for
Yes.
sure. And even the intro now got me hyped to starting things off because in Game Changers 2, we
Always.
had DSG that made it to the finals. And what I love here this time around is that it could still be any team that could represent North America in this tournament right here.
Y'all are talking about these big Titan teams. I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here. This is our first day
We are.
of VALORANT Game Changers here. And of course, looking at the format, this is going to be our GSL Group style format to be starting things out. As this is Open Qualifiers, there's a lot of teams here. This is the chance too. There's all these Titans that you've talked about, but this is a chance for him to start seeing some of those standout players, as this is the last chance to qualify for those championships.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. And the reason why I was saying that it could be anybody's game is because you're not even thinking about all of these points that you picked up throughout the whole year with Game Changers, because now it's like a clean slate for a lot of the teams. You know, there's always teams, if you're not out of those Titan organizations, that are always going to get together, repug and whatnot, and still with the plug, you can have a Cinderella story, be the next AG, and maybe even qualify if you win this tournament here, Riv.
It's honestly looking at where you have to get through and then into the circuit points. There's so much to be done, and there's so many awesome teams to see, but this is the chance for a lot of those new teams to see what they can do against the lower bracket than the upper. Honestly, the road of Game Changers is one of my favorite in VALORANT.
Yo, Chamber, what do you have? You have the French
Game
man
Chamber. Yeah. Game Chamber.
I mean,
We got. I mean,
won't be surprised.
I want to see some sunset.
All right. To clarify with those circuit points, of course, when we're looking at Game Changers 3, their first place team will be getting that automatic invite into our championship. So the points not going to quite matter for one team, but of course for everyone else, it's going to be a race to be gathering up those points for that second place. But Riv, you're talking about Sunset. I see that background that you have there. That's one of the big changes headed into this event here. Yeah, Vance, not you. I'm in the way. But we got Sunset, and Breeze is back as well.
I am so excited about Sunset. Kind of watching a bit of the Chinese League and what they've been playing on LAN so far. It hasn't been solidified, and I don't think anybody really knows exactly what they want on this map just yet. It has a lot to do about mid. We haven't had a map that really focuses on that since Ascent, and Ascent kind of plays in its own way now. But that also can go to just the sites where mid isn't focused on, and you have these amazing new sites with so many entries and so many ways to re-enter it. I think that's one of the big things we may see. I don't know, Vans, what are you thinking about Sunset?
You're nailing it right on the head. Not only for Sunset, but for Breeze, you talk about mid-control, and I think that with these changes that you've seen through Breeze and this new addition for Sunset, mid-control is going to be very important. I think both of these maps are going to be very defaulty, slow pace, work the extremities to make sure if, like, as a defender, sometimes you want to, you know, set the tone, set the pace. You want to try to attack on the extremities, but that mid-control for rotations in the mid-rounding is going to be very important, because let's look at it from Breeze here. This cave, there's only one entrance right now, right from shops. There's not any more long caves. So if you have a strong offer like a jet or a chamber in that pyramid side, by the way, it's crab or shrimp now, by the way, chat, but we'll make sure you remember that. But it's going to be very difficult for the attack to just take one entrance. So you have to split through mid. So how do you work this? How are teams cooking up these comps, and how are teams going to defer inter compositions? For example, on Breeze, is a Viper going to make a comeback? Is it still double controller for some teams, right? So I'm really looking forward to this and see what Game Changers teams have been coming up with.
I think for Breeze, it blows my mind that they changed it so much, and even put the halls, the tunnel area is strictly an ego peak.
What is
now.
that for?
If we see players going there,
it
is the ego peak now in Valorant. So that challenge, it would blow everyone's mind if we actually see two players meeting there, and it's not in a transition across the map for someone on defense. But yeah, like you nailed it for A on Breeze. It almost requires mid play now. There aren't two ways to attack that. So really neat to see him cut off the cave and kind of alter the way B works. I think that gives somebody playing by themselves and be a little bit more of a chance to pop up, hide, and get themselves to safety as they wait for a team. So a lot cooler stuff for Breeze in store as well.
I'm fingers crossed that we get to see, hopefully, Sunset, though the ego peaks on Breeze would be fun to see as well heading into today's matches. To start off, we're going to be looking at Group K in our group stage. Riv, you were talking about the fact that you're excited to see FlyQuest Red. We'll be able to see them right out of the gate going up against Sovereignty. Of course, you want to be able to win 2 here right out of the gate to be able to qualify into this next stage.
Correct. That's the crazy part, because you win this group here for GSL, you're not even making it to the main event yet. You have to go into a double elimination in the close qualifiers, then get top 8 to finally make it to the main event, and then finally try to win it if you don't have enough circuit points to make it to Brazil. So I love this format. It's very cutthroat, just like it was in the VCTs last year, and I love to see the amount of teams that are actually coming into this right now and participating in the Game Changers from what we saw in 2020 until today. So the teams are there, the players are interested, and the competition is also there.
We're looking at our first match with that FlyQuest going up against Sovereignty. Let's talk about FlyQuest Red first, because this is a team that is absolutely stacked to the brim with talent, but had a little bit of a heartbreaking end in their Game Changers 2 run. So, Riv, this is going to be the chance for them to come together and show us what they're capable of.
Yeah, incredibly hungry. You have to expect them coming out now under the banner of FlyQuest Red. You know, still a great structure that they had before, and maybe even better now. We'll have to see what kind of power they can put onto the maps, and keeping it kind of easy as well. We'll get into the picks and bans in just a bit, but I feel like the map pool favors them, and FlyQuest is just going to be super solid here in the early part of the tournament.
And hungry is a really good way to be putting it, because they have been putting in the work. Of course, stalking Twitters is a fun little pastime for us. And we got a couple of tweets coming out from their coach, from Kazi, actually, talking about the work band that this team has been putting in preparation of Game Changers 3.
That's right, because you talked about how it was difficult for them. They had heartbreaking losses in Game Changers Series 2, where they didn't really make it into the top 4. When they were in their old orgs with Moist Moguls or CLG Red, they were hitting those top 4s. Now they bring in an experienced coach in Kamikaze, who was a coach over at Fusion X during the ascensions of the VCT. And for the past couple of days, as I've been following his account, he's just like, hey, we've been having 12-hour days. They're doing aim labs. We have great practice schedules going on so far. The whole team's hungry. There was even a video where he was just like showing how the team was just, all you heard was mouse clicks behind the monitors. So so he was like, it was like music to his ears seeing that he has a team of 5 players who are willing to win, who want to listen to some of the crazy stuff that he could cook up with, like he kind of did in the past with Fusion X. And that's why I want to highlight that player right here, or this coach right here, because this, for example, is that composition that he came out with Fusion back in Ascension, back in LatNam, on Haven of all composition, or all maps rather. A Viper, a Breach, a Sage, a Neon. Where's the scan? How do you take control of A choke points? And he was still able to do that because you played the fundamentals around trading and also being very aggressive with the slows and the stuns. So the idea is still there, right? He's still cooking stuff up, and I'm looking forward to see if FlyQuest comes out with a new identity with Kamikaze coming in.
They have the players to do so, right? They skilled enough veterancy within that squad, and with the way those tweets are formed and that everybody's individualities are now focused more towards that single goal, I think kind of speaks to that as well. We can try these new compositions, things are working, and they can expand what they have in their pool. It seems like it's going to be amazing.
Well, they're going to be having to take down Sovereignty to start things off. So introducing this team, there's definitely some names on this roster that are quite familiar, especially if you have been following Game Changers in other regions as well. So I'm excited, Vance, to see this squad come together and show us what they're capable of.
Yeah, fairly new together as well. They've played even some of the quote-unquote tier 2s of the Game Changer scene to try to make a mark, try to get some practice in. But the player that I was thinking about here is Miku, a player that has had experience in Game Changers in the past, playing in the Latin America division, getting into the grand finals as well, and losing to Fusion X, if I'm not mistaken, in a 2-3 fashion. And this player right here, the main duelist that you'll have for Sovereignty, and also very comfortable on a Raze and a Jet. And this is something very good looking at the latest patch that you have for Valorant, where the Jet is not going to be as useful. You might see a little bit more Raze, but there's still that factor that you could mix things up for Sovereignty if you want to.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting too with the fact that this team has just been grinding out a couple of these tier 2 things for Game Changers, what they're going to be able to show us on our map picks and bans, because sometimes you really need to be building up the foundation, so that'll be quite interesting to get into. Unfortunately, we won't see that Sunset and Breeze out of the gate, but Sovereignty and Riv, they're feeling comfortable to take this to Haven to start us out.
They are, even with Vans' little info. Maybe they didn't go as deep as Vans did. But yeah, this will be really interesting to see if we actually get an interesting comp out of FlyQuest. But why does Sovereignty feel so comfortable against such a veteran-style team like FlyQuest on Haven, a map that requires the utmost of teamwork to get around there?
And as I said, it's a team that like plugs in together, that kind of just came in the last minute within the last couple of months, and the maps that you've had the most recent information on was actually playing on Haven and Ascent itself, which is why you see this being banned out by FlyQuest. You want to move towards a map like Lotus, one of the stronger maps, if not the stronger map that FlyQuest loves to play currently with this iteration, because you have the opportunity to just get so much out of your duelists playing that Raze for the team, if I'm not mistaken, Dodonut at that point for FlyQuest. So seeing how the map is going, you're playing pretty much to your own strength for every single team. And for FlyQuest not cooking things up yet, not showing things up yet for Sunset or for Breeze, maybe it's one of those moments where you just want to save those strats for the bigger teams.
Oh no, not talking about saving strats already. We're on the first day here, but it would be quite interesting because Vans too, you're kind of trying to pick apart what teams we might be able to see throw us to a Sunset or a Breeze first here in Game Changers.
100%, and that's why I wanted to look at FlyQuest, to have a look at FlyQuest to start things off, because when we talk about a clean slate for Game Changer Series 3, the winner of this competition has a chance to make it to Brazil. So for FlyQuest, you already saw it in the top 10. They're very low in terms of the circuit points. So this is an opportunity to pull out these maps that maybe have not been practiced as much. I remember Danimal of XXset was tweeting, I was like, it's so hard to find a screen for a Sunset. Show me what people are cooking. I can't find people to play against. So if this is going to be one of those moments where it's high risk, high reward, do or die, try to bring that out, you might see FlyQuest go deep.
So maybe one of those, we won't see Sunset for a few
No.
days. We'll see that maybe in our grand finals as the team's trying to steal away a spot from version 1. I see you there,
Yeah.
but Rip, looking at our first matchup there, with the pool that we have starting things out on Haven, I mean, sometimes with our open qualifiers, things can go one way or another pretty drastically. We know what FlyQuest is capable of. How are you thinking this one's going to be shaking up?
I think this one will shake out in favor of FlyQuest. Sovereignty could easily pull up a pistol round, could give him the 6. You could get a little sketchy. Alts play a little bit differently. Now, watching a lot of the games, as we were speaking about a little bit about China earlier, it seems like alts are still coming up at relatively the same time, so maybe it won't alter too much of the game.
That's true.
But maybe that does throw a few teams off as they get back into the swing of things here. Obviously have been practicing, but competition's always a bit different.
Well, it's time to get started with our competition too, as our agent select is ready for our first map of Haven here with FlyQuest going up against Sovereignty. I'm gonna toss it to you two, and I'll catch up with you later.
Thank you, Sierra and Riv. Indeed, now that we have the agents coming out, no big surprises coming out from FlyQuest. They are still going to bring out the Viper, though, at least for MLuo, but none of those, I mean, they're still going no scans. They're just switching Dodonut from this Neon to a Raze.
That's true. This creates a lot of difficulty, I think, on a map like Haven. Like we said, it worked for him before, but retaking the map, having control of the map, two very, very important things for FlyQuest Red, and we'll see how they control those two, retaking and controlling, because if they're not in a certain area, retaking something with this team is going to be difficult. Other side, you have a tried and true for Haven coming out here. You have your initiators, your Smoke with Omen, and Jet to be able to play the verticalities around the map with anchoring wherever needs to be anchored from A to C to B, or playing between both. So Sovereignty is playing true to heart just with what teams would usually bring here, and it might be enough to put up a strat. People play that composition for a reason.
Yep, playing to heart, but unfortunately a loss as well to Verify when they were playing during the Super Girl Gamer Pro Championships most recently in terms of those results for Sovereignty. And for FlyQuest, sometimes when you're Kamikaze, he was also the coach that's not afraid to show his new comps right away throughout the Ascension series last year in the VCTs, and now he's going to do this for Game Changers. Hey, it's going to be like, hey, study our strats. Let's see. I'm ready to test it out, and I'm ready to go against anybody now with the crazy stuff that I've been cooking. And there's method behind the madness here, and the method starts off with FlyQuest on the attack with a little bit of pressure. You're going to see this main wall happening towards the sewers, but they are focusing on a little bit of a default actually this time around to see who Sovereign's going to push through.
Yeah, Alarm Bot acting as kind of a 6th member there to watch C, as you'll have Athena just walking around mid, that grass area, allowing that Alarm Bot to stay active. It almost looks like an attack towards mid here, a little bit of a shark attack as well from Sovereignty. Not too much contact just yet. It was actually read pretty well by FlyQuest, but they're going to start creeping up. This is now due to the anchor, this is now on the anchor of Kestrel. Are they going to back up? Will they play safety? Or will they get taken out here in the beginning? They're going to have to wait for the team.
The backstab, as you can see from this radar. Kestrel is going to be the one opening things up in this pistol round to start things off for Sovereignty, but it gets immediately traded out back and forth towards this A site. The plan was looking to potentially go towards the back of the site and finally going back to a more default space. Shock darts coming through, but it's still the plant coming down for FlyQuest.
Pure speed on this one. Always. Ooh, okay, Hale. I was going to say just a step ahead, but a shot there. Nicely connected, and they're going to get a few more inside sight.
Yeah, when the dash forward doesn't work out, I mean, the idea was there, Riv. You saw the backstab watch from Athena that unfortunately lost that fight to Hale, and Hale was the one that closes the round 4 bit for Sovereignty, but just couldn't nail it in the end. And FlyQuest was able to salvage that, at least from that crazy flank that came through.
So on that, FlyQuest will identify that Kestrel stayed in sight, and not to a fault, but more so that Sovereignty was trying to get to a retake position, kind of educating themselves in that first round. So FlyQuest, if they can actually identify these positions of the players, they may be able to rush, may be able to get Sovereignty down before they can act. But Sovereignty here, looking for blood.
Talk about learning and trying to see what they're going to try to do for Sovereignty. They tried to go for a trap play to dash out behind the boxes and fight the window with that smoke, but FlyQuest is ready for that. So using almost the same strat as before, focusing on that mid side, opening up B, getting the plant. There's a couple of trades happening on the links though, but it finishes up with only 1 casualty for FlyQuest in the second round.
Love the aggression coming out of Sovereignty right now. And to my point of FlyQuest trying to learn what's going to happen, that kind of flips the book, right? They're going to have to wonder each eco round if they're getting pressured, which hopefully slows down the map for them now that they're 2 down. First gun round here, and we'll see what the setup changes to. It looks like B control will be held here by the side of Sovereignty in a 4-1 to control the map. We'll keep an eye on the Viper as well. Hale, 2 and 2, quick to flank already for Sovereignty so far. So I expect to see that quite a bit as they want to keep an eye on FlyQuest. Pinpointing where your opponent is on Haven is such a huge factor, and being able to cut off one site is even bigger. So now they're only playing to BC, and they got to know it's safe.
Even a paranoia comes out. That's M9 GU just on the right side. Dodonut with the double satchel and the headshot. The opening to the C site. Thinking that potentially at the beginning of the round you're focusing on the orb, but it's just to catch your opponents off guard. Here comes the flank already from Hale, but once again, being watched by Athena. Post-plant now ensues, and Sovereignty just has to wait for that right timing.
That's the second time now we've seen FlyQuest blast into a site and find one of the members right away. Just like on Kestrel in the beginning. Here's the retake now.
Starts with the fault line. Stunned is Dodonut. A flash just to hold her position and help her out. The forefront going in towards the logs, but 2 players already fall for FlyQuest. Still, you can get these one-ways up from the Omen. Poison Orb coming out too with lineups. A push coming down towards the lane at the long C. The trade-off, the snake bite on the ground. And it's up to a 1v1. The time is ticking away on that spike. Athena's just watching that cross, and you know it's too late now for Sovereignty as FlyQuest convert their bonus round.
It could be a kill in the end here too. Tracking for it. Wasn't just off of time. Obviously gonna hide for that Vandal, but 3 for FlyQuest now. A really nice retaliation coming out of Sovereignty. Just a little bit late on the entrance to the party. And each time we've seen FlyQuest get to the site, we've seen that since this composition does not allow for the search and find, like you said, no scan, it's an explosion onto site. It's really on Dodonut following a flashpoint from Han over the head, it not Han, and getting into the site. We may see it one more time here. They look to split the site with a quick wall and go right back into C Vansili.
Yeah, this looks way more aggressive than it was before. The Viper wall being pulled up to help that push coming out from FlyQuest. They don't want to give a chance for Sovereignty to get comfortable within this map. Their map choice, by the way, for Sovereignty. So now you're going to have a 5v5.
The Sova, the util, should be able to wait for a dart here if they want to get back in. Smokes are going out right now as they check their backs. And Chew, nice shot onto Dodonut. The raise is down and they make it some space.
Yeah, and even Emily stuck in the back of the site. There's no one ways for long. You're still trying to play potentially a last second post-plant with the Viper util, but the crossbars are still way too good this time around. And Blue at 3 in the round, and FlyQuest are looking strong to kick things off on Haven.
Staying in sight. I think they realized how much trouble they got themselves in. FlyQuest did, running down C last time and trying to play that long C fight like we love to do in North America. I don't know why it is, but we do, especially when the other team has smokes. But here, they play it well. They stay in sight. They garrison everything about it. And it's going to be a switch up here again from Sovereignty. We're seeing the default Jet Sova go long, grab orbs. It's going to be Blade Storm this round. And that little push from Hale, trying to get a little more info, trying to shut off this A lobby as soon as possible. That push comes again.
I love this.
Oh my god, Dodo.
Yeah. Oh, the gun was sticking through the smoke, but unfortunately Dodo couldn't get the kill. And all of this was for FlyQuest to continue the conditioning towards that C site, now pushing out towards A, and you just retaliate like that, and Blue gets 2 kills, and FlyQuest now have an open A site.
I was like, no, they're not going further. It won't happen. Might happen in lobby as well here.
Whoa, even the pit comes out, and Gio just got caught off before the pit came across here. Now it's just going to be an easy plan. Han playing inside that pit. It not Han playing solo to watch that flank. A 1v1 victory against Kestrel. And still, we go unanswered for Sovereignty, and FlyQuest are really sky high now on the scoreline.
That's crazy. Wow, just throwing Dodonut forward. And obviously Dodonut wants to get frags, but even losing Dodonut, they still flex to the other side of the map. And FlyQuest has full control over a quick push from Sovereignty here, completely reading the map, continuously putting Sovereignty back down on the low buy, and it is 5-0 now. Ultimates are coming up now as well for the side of FlyQuest as they decide to play this one slow. They remember what happened in round 2 as that push out came very, very quick from Sovereignty.
Almost looked like they were looking for some sort of trap play towards mid. You saw the fault line, or not the fault line, sorry, the recon dart coming out, trying to scan some players, and it could have been a lot of ults being used there. And this is one of those turning points that you need for Sovereignty, Riv. They have 3 ults online against the 2 of FlyQuest, but could potentially be in good positions here to prevent the ult entry from FlyQuest.
Just toying with Garage. We've seen little changes of how this Viper wall has been placed. And here they get to keep eyes on Garage, giving Sovereignty something to think about all the time.
Shield with the Sheriff is quite deadly. There's so many first bloods coming in so far. Coming out from this player on these lower buys for Sovereignty. There's that flank from behind. There's that recon dart giving value too. Nice double backstab, and a spike falls in the front of the B site. The fake once again drawing out from FlyQuest gets denied.
FlyQuest may have remembered what happened on that low buy round, but
30 seconds
Sovereignty
left.
plays this one different, Van Silly. They picked themselves up some weapons now. A great push out by Miku. One off of ultimate there, and Sovereignty actually could start to flip the score right after this. Finding Dodo Nut is the next prize. No ultimate to be used here, honestly. And 13 seconds left in the round. Dodo Nut's just looking for a few more frags. Drop some of
10
those
seconds
fans.
left.
So much money to work with, so it's okay for them to throw their lives away pretty much, just to make sure that you keep that economy low over for Sovereignty. But there is that round finishing. All 5 players falling down for FlyQuest after time 2, and Sovereignty not having to expense too many of those ults, if not any at all, to actually win this round. Their first one on Hades.
And they timed that one out. And that's really interesting to get out of an eco round as well. Like you flexed and pushed so much. You caused FlyQuest to really not know what to do. You gave them that much trouble. At 5-0, you think FlyQuest has full control of the game, but they're definitely respecting what Sovereignty is doing from round to round. Now the Operator is out for Hail. After that Blade Storm round, we have a big purchase, so this means a lot for Sovereignty as they flex themselves over towards A. That Operator is going to be C, so they survive for now off of that.
Yeah, and that's a great call, because that's something that FlyQuest isn't aware yet in this matchup. Yes, we know that we have that up on C side, but FlyQuest still working this map.
It's real quiet. FlyQuest actually wants to see how Sovereignty wants to react in these situations. It's been a lot of fast play. Now FlyQuest waits it out a little bit longer to see what kind of util they can grab here. I think Sovereignty's reacted really well with the Killjoy utility switching around. FlyQuest has to kind of source that each time, which slows down the round. Sovereignty buying themselves time, I think, wins this out, because once, like we said before, once you get FlyQuest on the approach to the site, they're going to blast in without having a Sky, without having the Sova. They just need to get in and start killing.
FlyQuest knows, though, that the KJ is playing towards this A side. Rolling Thunder to delay as much as they can. It starts off well. Kestrel still holding the back of that site. While we have 35 seconds left on the clock, we still have a Hunter's Fury online for Boopy. So time's a ticking for FlyQuest once again. We have to make a move for Athena. There's a TP towards the back of the side of the C side, but the long C's not clear. Spike falls down from the hands of Boopy.
10 seconds.
That's making things difficult. There's that person towards that C cubby, not being checked, not being watched. That's 2 rounds now in a row for Sovereignty. 1 overtime. Oh, well, actually, they still got that plan down, but you know, when you're rushing around as much as you can for FlyQuest and you're out of position, it's still the same result.
Be 2 for Sovereignty. Control. Waiting and like the back of utility, and safe for Kestrel too. So that right now, but it's a C rush coming out.
It's quick and it's stopped right away. Double nades though coming through towards the back.
Ooh.
And now the spike goes down. That was very, very quick. Trying to delay a little bit more with the Hunter's Fury coming out from Poopy. Does get a tag onto 1 as Athena now has the opportunity to use the lockdown on a pulse plant.
Want to see what are the ults? They got a bit of utility here. And they're actually all going to go long C on this with the ultimate going down. So they buy themselves a good amount of time, but also have to dodge out on both lockdowns. Oh my god, this is going to be a flood for the spike. They're not going to have much time once this starts. The one-way's going out from Emily.
Exactly, and even the alarm bot in the back of the site for Athena. So FlyQuest, one of those signatures that you mentioned NA likes to play towards the long side, but this time the smokes are perfect because Emily's still up.
Oof.
And finally FlyQuest, they answer back in a strong fashion with 4 players still alive.
And a nice flanking from Emluo. It's just, Sovereignty has so much to look at. They cannot get a handle on every player of FlyQuest. And I think that's going to be FlyQuest's boon here, is that once they get to the site and blast, they back up and they can leave this lurker being Emluo lately. Just apart. They call a timeout here. And even with Hale starting out, the 4v5 conversion still goes to FlyQuest because Dodo hits the double nade. And they pick up the last 3 at the end of long C. That's just the kind of stuff you have to expect from FlyQuest.
Now the timeout comes out for Sovereignty, and I don't think this is a roster that also has really some coaching support going through on the defense against FlyQuest. I mean, 2 rounds and the way that they fought on that round number, great strength. This is good.
It's almost like Sovereignty have to play a Where's Dodo Nut game. You identify the raise and you identify the site take, because that's the golden ticket. How to play. It's good. Emily, the rotation. Walking down long A, and Emluo was able to take out 2 last time, so it kind of changed the round fast, but you can't expect that every time. So we'll see if they can identify.
They tried to. It's an open side for a B side. Meanwhile, you saw the try to fight. So the paranoia in the dash, no success. So Sovereignty has to play the retake now.
You have nades to just drop in there, or the grenade to drop in there. All the rest of the utility, they have to get a tap and FlyQuest out of the woodwork.
And there's the first engagement. A trade-off towards the doors of Garage. Numbers are still good here for the Pulsar for FlyQuest.
Oh my, what?
Things are being pressed for Sovereignty as they have to push out towards that B main. There's the backstab flank even from Emluo. Nothing there that Sovereignty could do. So as you get out of position on the long C push, you couldn't readjust on the retake.
Blast into the site, get out, have the lurker ready because it's so... Even suffering on the way out here. It's just like last time. It's not a double nade. It's a Vandal spray pulled down through the smoke just to drop Miku on the pressure that she was putting onto Han. They were putting onto Han. You know, Sovereignty seems to be pushing themselves into the correct positions. The answers are there, though, for FlyQuest. It seems to be expected. Maybe a shark play here towards long C.
Didn't work the first time. Let's try the second time. And the Paranoid does catch a few players, but it's being defaultly held towards the long C. Answering back our FlyQuest. Aftershock to push players away, and there was unfortunately no way to surprise FlyQuest on Sovereignty's play. Chiyu trying to get some work done with the Sheriff inside the smoke. Castro's on that flank. There's a satchel, and will we land shots? We will once again. Chiyu, keep an eye on this player with that Sheriff, man. It's so deadly.
It is on fire, but so are the crossfires from FlyQuest. You see the X play coming in onto the long C. Oh my gosh, just covering each other's shoulders. And now up to Kestrel. Quick hop in the window here. All right, it's a little singularity. How many headshots? Ooh, through the wall.
0 for 1.
0 for 1.
Fault line coming out too, the pressure coming back. We're hunting for these kills. Again, we talk about, especially in these moments, Riv, when you have these ultimates that are costing more and you know you're facing against an ego. I'm okay going to chase for these. Get those ult orbs up, and they're prepping these for the last 2 rounds. I mean, you still have the Showstopper and the Viper almost there, and it's so much easier to control that long C.
One enemy remaining.
I think watching that, and how they retook Long C is very telling. Teams should be aware of that. You're getting aftershock pushed, and it's FlyQuest is ready to be brutal in these engagements, right? They lost a few rounds to timeout, and how much faster are they going now? They have not lost another round to timeout. Those weren't kills from Sovereignty. Those were pressuring FlyQuest off. And here we go, off your feet. Ooh.
Not affected though. Castro stays on the ground and gets the headshot on
Castro.
Not even a second one, dropping the spike. And it was such a nice activation to start things off for FlyQuest, hearing all that noise out on the B side. But Castro is an anchor towards this A site. Two more alive. Spike now picked up.
Player standing.
Trying to do heroic plays. Mluo now stuck in a solo play, a 4v1. Dwindling down the numbers of the defense, and the respect is being shown here for Sovereignty as they have the double flank. The Alto comes out, the 1v1 towards spawn.
Oh my
as
gosh.
Mluo couldn't catch that kill.
All right, Cavalry's here.
Saw the gun, heard the Alto.
3-bullet.
Has all the info on the 3 players, and a double swing comes out from the recon, and Sovereignty are able to get that defensive round in round 11.
Yo, Castro's round. What in the world? I respect it so much that Castro continues to play that spot out of comfort because of playing around the box, playing that kind of 1v whatever situation feels comfortable. As they pick up multiple kills. That's such a dangerous spot to play against this composition. You have so much util in your face, and dodge the Rolling Thunder on that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely awesome play there to lock down the site. Like I just said, they weren't getting too many on kills. They finally pick up a round on kills, and more pushing coming out of Sovereignty now.
Yeah, it's Sovereignty's time to do the same type of conditioning. Recon dart the dash, and now are they falling back or not? Hale is pushing forward, so the alarm's there. Showstopper now coming out of Dodonut as she picked up the orb earlier. Right at the feet, it misses, but at least Han and Athena are there for those kills. A 5 versus 3 to start things off, and a quick push by FlyQuest into B.
They're surrounded.
Oh, yeah. Surrounded and overwhelmed. Nothing you can really do there towards the back of the site. Yeah, there's at least that backstab from Miku onto Athena. But look at that late lurk still coming out from the A-Link. All they got to do now for FlyQuest is set up that crossfire. The big bang boom. And Castro almost lines up and gets the wall bang at least. Couple of whiffs coming through, so Mlua has to have
The lurk again.
all the work to do. The Sixth Sense as Castro's watching it. The headshot comes across. Snake bite onto the spike. Lockdown gets broken, Han swings out, and now we stop the bleeding for FlyQuest's attempt to hold that spike. They take the lead still, 9-3, as they won and converted round number 12.
Incredible patience there by FlyQuest at the end. And that, I think the mid aggression we saw is we also switched to each player there in mid. Kestrel doing Kestrel things after heating up now. Is that the aggression favors FlyQuest so much. These pushes that Sovereignty's trying to do and getting FlyQuest's face are being absorbed so well. And it seems like FlyQuest still enjoys playing in that no matter what their team name is.
Well, this is going to get difficult, right, Riv? There's no scan agents here on the defense. You got to figure out how FlyQuest is going to play here, the defensive side against Sovereignty, who, as you said, they're going into their tried and true, the bread and the butter of a default comp pretty much here on the attack.
Do they condition or do they go straight for a play? Already 2 stack on B to start.
Cloudburst, nice paranoia. That is beautiful by both Dodonut and Emily. 3 assists coming through. Hat tricks coming on both assists and kills. Make that even a quad. Halfway into a showstopper after the piss around. I think it's a sealed deal almost here, Riv.
I don't know if I've ever seen a team be more ready for the particular strat. Paranoia into an entire team. They all They all ran through blind.
Yep.
That is picture perfect. Incredible stuff.
Even a second layer of that flash that came out from it, Han from ceiling, just to make sure that you can get the plant down. So,
oh my gosh.
At least for Sovereignty here, Riv, we're still trying to work our economy right. No force buys coming through after a plant, or not even a plant, rather. Just going to try to hit it together towards the A site and try to get that plant this time around here.
Yeah, they're right in.
Sheriff is still good for Kestrel and for Chiyu throughout this whole series, but that's the only kill they're going to get into the site. Repivoting back towards B potentially. Mlu is already moving up, watching the window, catching one off guard. That's spiked down.
Spike down A.
Opportunity for Kestrel though to even up that trade. But this time it's Athena with 4 kills too. Man, the defense is going to look pretty good. Maybe you won't need those scan agents after all if your anchor players are going to get those type of kills.
So I wonder, because you really have to commit on a retake if you're using this composition, right?
Yeah.
So does this happen when they can pick it and be on attack, or is it just attack reliant more so? Because that's crazy. That's wild.
Yeah.
I almost wish I watched this start the other way so I could see FlyQuest defense first. But man, this composition is brutal. I'm glad you brought it up before we started.
Oh, 100%. And when you're looking at the experience that Kamikaze had for this team with Fusion X, when it was a composition that was very similar, the slow orbs going towards the A choke point was the most pivotal moment to allow the Neon to move forward. Exactly. Now you're trying to do it with pressure from damage more than slows with the raise, but it's not needed yet. They're still doing a great job with their setups that they currently have here. You can see that they're not allowing Sovereignty to really get too much A pressure from the get-go, and stacking those numbers where they have less util. 3 players towards that C side, and already the enemies are spotted in Garage and denied
and taken out.
Yep.
Chiyu feeling it every so often. Maybe a few more here as Athena has the back of 1. And that's big info as the spike goes down, and the team's going to rotate a little bit now to get control of the map.
That's what I'm talking about, right? The Viper wall comes up here towards the A side. The alarm board's still there behind the wall. Athena was trying to find a timing to maybe reposition on that left side. Becomes a head-to-head instead. Nice little dink onto Hale. The wall bang right after with the Sheriff. And it's only 1 player left. Chiyu's still not spotted. So an opportunity to win this fight, and does so with the Phantom. 24 seconds left. No ult, so can't pivot anywhere else inside this map. Already a paranoid comes out. Smoke on the ground, but Emily spots her before the smoke blooms. Woo. And that's FlyQuest now at map point.
Match point.
Athena, the rotating and pushing anchor, finds a nice kill, and the rest of the team as well, just absolutely, like you said, shredding Garage. They have, it seems like, read 3 straight rounds of where to have Emily, blinding in B, or paranoia B, paranoia A, and then a little bit of a C to Garage. Like, the read from FlyQuest is utterly amazing right now. And to see if it's going to be a stack long that will lock in an attack round here for Sovereignty.
Yeah, you talk about reading it perfectly. I mean, they put the Viper at the right spot this time with them. Luo setting up the wall across the C to Garage, so they can try to pressure in that area. Snake Bite already on the ground. Vulnerable is Hale. So an easy kill for Mlu, getting scanned, trying to waste the clock, and there's that combination of mollies and nades. You can't even cross the finish line to try to get the plant down for Sovereignty, as 2 players are left for Sovereignty to salvage a round if they can. And unfortunately, the quiver of Boopy spotted in the back. Dodonut with the last 2 kills, and that's FlyQuest dominating the first map.
The quiver of Boopy. Sometimes you just don't think a sentence can be created, and then it is. What a fantastic game from FlyQuest coming out. Really still showing that they can play together, that everybody's on the same page, just like Kamikaze said. Those individualities are all coming together, and we saw it with this composition. It was kind of unorthodox, like you said. No find, no scan. They're going in off the utility of each other, and teamwork was the big one there. And man, FlyQuest came out strong on attack side and were able to hold it for defense.
Yeah, and that's the good news, too, for FlyQuest. You didn't have to see too much of that defense. When you're looking at this composition, that's where you think, hey, the weaknesses might be towards this defensive half because they can't really scan, they can't pressure as much. So that said, they didn't have to use any of that, so they have an opportunity for teams to be like, hey, what could they actually do towards the defense? Are they going to pull this out again? And now the mind games are starting here for Kamikaze. And speaking of mind games, that's going to continue forward after this break, as we got to pay some bills here, and we'll see FlyQuest see if they could finish the series 2-0 against Sovereignty.
Have you ever asked yourself after a bad game, what am I missing? Or sought help from impatient friends? Or browsed desperately for answers that only bring up more questions? Your self-doubting days are over with Discovery. the first game-focused AI. Discovery is trained on the world's leading esports athletes to be your everyday personal coach. That's right. Discovery can help you improve your gameplay by giving you tips and strategies to take your game to the next level. Get started at aimlabs.com/discovery.
Red Bull gives you wings.